What if the life you're living right now isn't even yours? What if every decision you make, from the clothes you wear to the career path you choose, is just a reaction to what others expect from you? Stop for a second and ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped trying to please everyone around you and started living for yourself? For most of us, this might sound almost impossible. From a young age, we're taught to seek approval, whether from our parents, teachers, friends, or even strangers on social media. It becomes a part of us, shaping every move we make. The problem? It can leave us feeling empty, lost, and disconnected from who we truly are. But here's the truth. You don't need anyone's permission to live the life that's meant for you. And more importantly, your happiness doesn't depend on others liking you or validating your choices. Now let's talk about the psychology behind all this. Why do so many of us find ourselves living to please others, even when it makes us miserable? Because deep down, we've been wired to crave acceptance. We've all had those moments where we bite our tongues, wear something we don't even like, agree with opinions we don't believe in, just to be liked, just to avoid standing out. And here's the kicker, it feels good at least temporarily. Being liked lights up the reward centers in our brains. It gives us that little dopamine hit, that feeling of belonging. But that feeling, it's short-lived. It fades, and we're left feeling hollow. Why? Because it wasn't real. It wasn't you they liked. It was the version of you that fit into their mold. And that's where the fear kicks in. The fear of being rejected. The fear of being judged. The fear of not being good enough exactly as we are. So we build a life around other people's expectations, hoping that if we just keep everyone else happy, then we'll find peace. But here's the harsh truth. People-pleasing is a trap. You're constantly shape-shifting, adapting, wearing different masks depending on who's around. And over time, you start to lose sight of who you really are. It's like looking in the mirror and seeing a stranger staring back. Living for approval is like chasing a shadow. You run and run, thinking you're getting closer to being enough, but you never quite get there. Sure, praise might give you a quick high, like when someone compliments your choices or applauds your achievements, but that feeling fades fast. And then you're back at square one, needing the next dose of validation just to feel okay again. But here's the truth, no one tells you you can actually walk away from all that. When you start living for yourself, making choices that align with your values, your desires, your truth, you begin to fill that emptiness with something real, something lasting. You're no longer performing, you're just being. And that shift, that's where true fulfillment begins. That's when your worth stops being a reaction to how others see you, and starts being rooted in how you see yourself. Let's take a closer look at the real cost of constantly living for others. Because trust me, there is a cost, and it's heavier than most people realize. When we spend our lives trying to keep up appearances, we don't just wear a mask, we become the mask. We smile when we're hurting. We agree when we disagree. We stay silent when we want to speak up. And over time, something subtle but devastating happens. We lose ourselves. We forget what actually matters to us. We forget what lights us up, what drives us, what we believe in. And then comes the second layer, the relationships we build while hiding who we really are. These relationships might look fine on the surface, but deep down, they become transactional. Think about it. You give your time, your energy, your affection, your loyalty. Not because it flows naturally, but because you hope to get something back. Maybe it's approval. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's a pat on the back that makes you feel like you finally made it. But what happens when those things don't come? Or when they stop coming? Resentment starts to build, quietly, slowly, but steadily. You start to feel taken for granted. You begin to feel like no one really sees you. Like you're giving so much of yourself but getting nothing of value in return. That's when the emotional drain sets in. You feel tired, not just physically, but existentially tired. Disconnected from others, but more importantly, disconnected from yourself. And eventually you look around at the life you've built and ask, whose life is this really? But here's where it all begins to change. When you finally make the bold choice to stop seeking approval, and instead start honoring your own values, that's when something powerful shifts inside you. You stop being a puppet pulled by strings of expectation, and start becoming the author of your own story. Your decisions begin to feel solid, grounded, not because they're popular or praised, but because they're true to you. This is what stepping into your personal power looks like. It's not loud, it's not flashy, It's not about rebellion or proving anyone wrong. It's about quietly reclaiming your right to live a life that actually feels like yours. It's about showing up as you are, and trusting that that's enough. Let's get something straight. Living for yourself isn't about shutting people out, being selfish, or turning your back on the world. That's a common misconception. Living for yourself simply means recognizing your own value. It means making decisions that are true to you, even if they're not what others expect or approve of. It's about dropping the guilt and being unapologetically authentic. And let me tell you, there is nothing more freeing than that moment when you realize you don't have to earn your right to exist as you are. You're not here to live out someone else's script. You're here to write your own. But how do you start doing that? The very first step is self-awareness. And I don't mean vague self-reflection. I mean sitting down with yourself, honestly and quietly, and asking the hard questions. What actually matters to me? What lights me up? What drains me? What kind of life do I want to look back on someday and be proud of? Because when you get clear on what you value, not what your parents told you to value, not what society labels as successes, but what you truly care about, that's when things begin to shift. Your choices no longer come from confusion or fear. They come from clarity and alignment. And while you're doing this inner work, there's something else that's absolutely essential: self-compassion. Look, we all mess up. We all doubt ourselves. But the way you talk to yourself matters. Would you ever speak to your best friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself? Probably not. So why do we think it's okay to tear ourselves apart inside our own heads? Practicing self-compassion means giving yourself permission to be a work in progress. It means honoring your struggles without judgment. It means looking in the mirror and saying, yeah, I've got flaws, I've made mistakes, but I'm still worthy, I'm still enough. And the beautiful thing, the more you practice kindness toward yourself, the less power other people's opinions have over you. Because you're no longer begging for validation, you've already given it to yourself. Living for yourself starts with knowing yourself and then accepting yourself. That's where the real power is. That's where peace begins. Another key part of this journey: setting boundaries. And let's be honest, this can be hard, especially if you're used to being the one who always says yes. But here's the truth: every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying no to something that could. Boundaries aren't walls to shut people out, they're doors to protect your energy, your peace, and your purpose. Saying no isn't rude, it's necessary. You deserve to protect the space you're growing in. And now we get to the part that scares most of us: the fear of rejection. The uncomfortable truth is, not everyone is going to like you, not everyone will understand your growth, your decisions, or your truth. But that's okay, because approval from others was never the point. When you stop bending yourself just to be accepted, you create space for the right people to walk into your life. People who don't just tolerate your authenticity, they celebrate it. Living for yourself doesn't mean going it alone. In fact, it opens the door to real connection. When you're no longer wearing a mask or playing a role, the relationships you build are deeper and more genuine. These are the people who see the real you, the unfiltered, imperfect, but powerful version, and love you not because of what you offer them, but simply because of who you are. So yes, choosing yourself might come with some loss, but what you gain in return is far greater: peace, purpose, and people who truly belong in your life. When you finally let go of chasing approval and start living for you, life gets lighter. You're no longer performing, no more masks, no more pretending, just you, real, grounded, and free. You begin to build a life that's aligned with who you are, not who the world expects you to be. So ask yourself, what are you waiting for? Stop handing your happiness over to someone else's opinion. It's time to choose you, choose peace, choose freedom, choose authenticity. If you're ready to start living a life that actually feels like yours, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And drop a comment. What's one small action you'll take today to start showing up for yourself? Remember, this is your life, your story. Make it real, make it yours.